Alrighty, guys, welcome to tonight's charting session. It is Monday, October 2nd. Hopefully, everybody is doing well. So, today I did not trade, of course. First day of the quarter, first day of the month. We have Powell speaking today. Expected to probably see some slower range-bound action today, as we did get. We will review and go back and see if there maybe was any potential setups, but if not, we'll get ready for going into tomorrow and talk about that as well. So that'll be the schedule. First thing going into today, my bias was two things. There will not be a high-quality setup until one of these highs or lows are taken. Notice, we opened today, and again, range-bound, like expected. We stayed inside of this range. Not this high or this low was taken from the previous session, so we stayed inside of this range, right? If you go on a bigger time frame, this will now become a range-bound doji candle where we basically did nothing. So this is where we don't touch it, right? This is where any sort of trade that you're going to take is going to be lower probability when we don't take whatever that previous day high or low is, right? So keep that in mind. So going into the morning, we did have equal highs here at 9. I kind of want to replay this day because we'll see if there maybe was anything. So let's kind of replay it here. So going into the morning, again, not looking to take anything here. I would be looking to wait to see if we get a move into this 4-hour fair value gap and sweep these equal lows. So I wouldn't really be looking to touch anything until either that high or low is taken. We get big move to the upside. 1 minute chart, again, still waiting for structure here. At this point in time, this could have been a possible look to go long. If we come back in this fair value gap, I would zoom in, see if we get internal swept. We get internal swept. See if this 1 minute fair value gap holds. It does. Take the next fair value gap. This would not have been a bad long. Targeting buy side. That would have gotten stopped out. One more time, should get bought up back towards buy side. Again, notice, all we're doing here is just sitting here. Notice, price is not efficient on days like this. Come down, sweep the high, come back up, or come down, sweep the low, come back up, sweep the high. Right now, we're just range bound. Again, goes all the way back, sweeps the low, comes down, doesn't even take these equal lows here. Again, still doing nothing, right? These are the days that we avoid, right? These are why we avoid these days, right? It is not clear and concise of action. We are all over the place. There is no clear action here, right? This is where you are going to get chopped up. Continue, again, range bound. Still no high quality setups. We finally come up. So now we come up and we take these initial highs here. But at this point in time, right, I would want to see us come up and sweep this external high, right? This is what I'm really looking for. For us to get high quality setup, I would really like to see this external high, but we never end up doing so. So I would be a little bit less confident taking any sort of short position here. But let's see if there was a setup to the downside or not. So we end up coming down. We get nice displacement, possible short opportunities here. We have consolidation here, accumulation. We get displacement to the downside, retracing to a fair value gap. You could have possibly taken a setup like this, would be putting a stop at those recent highs, targeting sell side, these equal lows down here. That could be a possibility. But again, everything's lower probability today. We did come up. We did sweep all the way back down. So that setup would have worked. But again, very low probability, low quality, since we didn't take that high, right? Lower quality setup since we didn't take that high. And pretty much the entire day, I do not really see any sort of trade or action that I really like or would have taken. So, and then we end up just kind of chopping the rest of the day. Again, notice this is the day that we like to take off, right? Notice the days that when you can protect yourself, right? Now, I know that you guys want to trade every single day, but trust me, as traders, our job is not to trade every single day, okay? As a day trader, that does not mean you need to trade every single day. There are days that you need to step in and say, hey, this is probably not the best day for me to trade because everything is not in my favor today, right? It's the first day of the quarter. We have Powell speaking. It's the first day of the month. It's the first Monday going into the month. All of these things combined are going to give us range-bound action. And I told you guys this morning, and I told you guys last night, the reason why I wasn't trading today, because I was expecting to see this kind of action. And today we got that with, there's really no clear, right? No really clear understanding of what price wants to do. So going into tomorrow, let's talk about where we are. Right now, going into tomorrow, I'm going to have the exact same bias as I did going into today. I am not looking to take really any sort of trades. Maybe a possible internal model if I get a good setup, but there is going to be no really clear understanding of what price wants to do until we pick a side here, until we either take this high or we take these lows. That's the biggest thing I'm watching for. I'm waiting to see either price come up, sweep this high, or price come down and sweep these equal lows and come back into that 4-hour fair value gap. Now, one thing I want you guys to notice here, bigger time frame, sell side's been swept. We're starting to get this displacement back up. We are inside of a daily imbalance here. I would really like to see us roll back over and sweep this internal low. So right now, I am having a more loose bias, again, focused on those intraday time frames. Like this 15-minute, I want to see this range here, pick a side, either sweep buy side or sweep sell side, and then let action give us a better understanding of what we want to do here, right? But right now, let this sort of range play out here, right? Because right now we're kind of starting to form power of 3, possibly looking to, on the 1 hour, form something where we get, accumulation move, possibly either manipulation move at the high or manipulation move at the low, right? Depending on which side we sweep first, and then looking to see that distribution move, right? That's a possibility. Or we can come down, this be the accumulation, this be the manipulation, and then have a distribution move back up, right? That's a possibility as well. So again, anything in this range without either this high or this low being taken is going to be a lower quality setup, right? So right now, the best thing for us to do is wait for that. So I'm hoping in the overnight session, we set up for a move in the morning to take liquidity. That's going to be my biggest thing I'm looking for. I don't want to see this high get taken in the overnight session. I would much rather it get taken in the morning. And the reason is because when our objective is taken in the overnight session, a lot of the times we will have slower and accumulative action in the AM. So I would much rather us stay in this range in the morning session or in the overnight session. And then when market opens, I would look to see us either come up, take that buy side level, or come down into this 4-hour fair value gap and look to play that bounce, right? So that's what I'm going to be focused on going into tomorrow. On ES today, let's take a look at what ES did. ES was a lot more bearish today than NQ. You can see we actually sold off pretty hard here into the lows, came back up, continued to sell off, didn't take this initial low, but we did sweep internal liquidity here, and that ended up getting bought back up. Looking at a bigger time frame on the 4-hour, again, right now, no clear and concise action here. Using those bigger time frames to understand what we want to do. I really like this daily imbalance. I would like to see us come up back into this, but we are continuing to respect this daily order block. We absolutely could sell back off, but I'm letting the market tell me what it wants to do here. We have sell side. I'm much rather in favor of seeing this move to the downside. Again, just looking at price action here, the daily does not look like we have any sort of desire or are strong enough to get a move up here. I would much rather anticipate a move back to the downside to take that initial low, right? Just looking at the daily, we've come up. We've spent the last 3-4 days in this little range and have not had a clear, concise move back to the upside and continuing to reject this order block here. So I would much rather see this start to flip over and see a move to the downside tomorrow. So looking to see if we can take anything tomorrow on ES, I would much rather see any internal liquidity being taken. Again, the biggest thing, look to see this high get taken here because this high is from Friday 29th. If we end up taking that high on ES or on NQ, we'll most likely end up forming a bearish SMT on ES, and I would like to see that rollover, right? So basically what I'm expecting is I would want to see NQ come up, possibly form SMT here, ES come up, sweep this internal level, right? Because we do have this kind of internal level here, possibly come up, sweep this, and then form an SMT to roll back over to the downside. So that's kind of what I'm looking for going into tomorrow. Let's take a look at gold. See what gold's been doing. Gold, again, continually, really no touch area for gold. We've just continuing to die here. Would not really look to really touch gold. Let gold start to settle and accumulate at the lows. Right now, we're just kind of slowly selling off. You could look to maybe scalp some sort of internal model, look to see buy side swept to the downside. But right now, again, I don't really like trading any of these kind of trends to the downside. So what up, Dave? Dave, you want to hop on and talk about your analysis going into tomorrow, or any words that you got?
I got nothing now, brother. You do you, man. I'm just sitting down to have a look right now.
Sounds good. Sounds good. Let me know if you have anything if you're looking later on.
Cool, cool.
Let's take a look at CL as well, even though I don't really trade CL. Anything that you guys want me to look at as well here? CL looks actually not too bad. Did we meet that weekly objective that we had? CL's not looking too bad, actually. Came up, kind of swept this internal level monthly. Again, I would like to see, we talked about this the other night. I would like to see this become that internal swept before we see this buy side level. So going in on CL, we've been super, super bullish here. This looks like we could have maybe put in a high here, but what I'd be looking for is either to see us sweep this level here or see us get displacement through this or not. So right now, letting CL start to form structure. Weekly imbalance that we're coming back into. We have a lot of imbalances here, so this whole area would be something I would like to see get revisited. Internal structure, focused again. Either do we displace below this low, or do we come down, sweep this, and then bounce back to the upside or not? So that's what I'm looking for on CL as well. Let's take a look at Euro. Euro, again, coming into that weekly objective, being that bigger time frame imbalance. We could see Euro came up, swept that buy side level like we anticipated, and then again came up, rejected that 4-hour imbalance, continued to sell off. At this point in time, I would be looking for us to retrace back up into these imbalances, look for, again, internal structure to then continue to the downside using that external draw. And then that's pretty much it all really I'm looking for. Not too much to go over here. TQQQ, valid long. Let's take a look. Got internal swept, got displacement, came down, formed these equal lows. Was your entry here or was it right here? The first one? Okay. Came up, back into this fair value gap. Doesn't look bad. Yeah. Not too bad. Looks good. Again, I would never trade TQQQ just because the price action. I hate this price action. But again, overall model looks good. NQ long, 1315 NQ, 5-minute discount S&P at the lows. Nice SMT. You get nice displacement. Nice fair value gap. Internal swept. Nice sell. Was this today? Or no? Yes, this was at the lows right here, wasn't it? Let me see. Yeah, this right here. Yeah, okay, yeah, this I like this. This is exactly what I was saying that I wanted to see happen in the Discord today. The one time that I did check the charts today, the one thing I was looking for was to see this. We had this nice 15-minute fair value gap. I was expecting the 5-minute to come down to sweep this internal level and then retrace back into this high. So you played that nicely. You waited for that internal sweep, got nice displacement, traded that fair value gap, and then you targeted that buy side level. So again, that looked good. Looked good as well. Not bad, not bad. Give me your opinion. I took this 2 trades, made $800. Let's take a look here. All right, let me zoom out here. There's a lot going on here. Is this all in the 1 minute? I would be focused on using these as internal models. I wouldn't look to take this entry here. I think right now you're too zoomed in. You're too zoomed. A lot of the times these trades will not work out. The reason why I think this worked out today is because we were in a choppy day. But a lot of the times I think you're too zoomed in here because this is internal buy side being swept. This move to the downside here and this initial stop raid. Now, did you take this? Okay, I'm guessing you're here. So this was before the stop raid. I would just say recommend zooming out. If you are going to take a setup like this short, I would be waiting for these lows to be put in and us to come in, sweep this initial high, and then zoom into a 15-second to then enter off that move back down, right? But that's just me. But right here, this just looks a little bit too cluttered and too internal of what you're trading. Like this, to my opinion, wouldn't be buy side because you're too zoomed in my opinion. Is this the same trade you showed? Yeah, that's the same trade. It looks good. I like that. Initial short. Yeah, this short looks good for a nice little scalp. I like all these rejections here. Nice move downside. Came up, BPR, respected, nice. Waited for this to hold, entered back in. long. This looks good. And is this, yeah, sell side swept on a bigger time frame as well? Yeah, this looks good. I like this. Looks good. What was this on? This wasn't on. This was on ES today? This looks good. Yeah, I like this. BPR is a balanced price range. So it's a fair value gap overlapped with another fair value gap. So if we look at this image here, you can see you have a bearish fair value gap, and then it gets ran through to the upside. And then you have another fair value gap here. So that this area is a balanced price range. And you can see we come back down to it with a tap it, and then we bounce back right up. NQ long 1214 PSD entered only one because of lower probability conditions. Love to hear it. Let's check it out. Looking good. Internal swept. SMT. Displacement up. Pull back to fair value gap. Yep. Looks great, brother. Nice conviction. 1 hour fair value gap. You wait for internal. You have SMT. Entered off the imbalance. This looks great, brother. Beautiful. Good conviction here. And good management as well. Only look going forward, going to the weekly. ES holding volume imbalance. If we hold here, shorties are getting long-term squeeze. Agreed, for sure. Yep, that's pretty much my same bias as well. Waiting for that structure. If we continue to hold here and we don't make new lows, I think we'll probably bounce back up into that daily imbalance. Let's check this out. Reasoning behind trade. Notice price rejecting for value gap to the downside plus big impulse up. Was expecting price to retrace small 1 minute for value gap resting above 0.5 fib level. Came up. I'm guessing, is this on the 1 minute? Came up, sold. I would have waited a little bit. Again, I like the way that I would trade this is if you are looking to take some sort of trade off of, a bigger, because there's probably a bigger time frame imbalance from this whole move to the downside. If you're looking to trade that, wait for that disrespect, right? Wait for the move down to enter. I think right here you got lucky on that entry unless you're entering off of VP or something. But other than that, the entry looks great. But ask yourself if the conviction was there for you to enter there, right? With a tight stop like that.
I would say these are the toughest trades personally, Justin, because if he doesn't take that trade mentally, he says, I missed it. And
Yeah.
it's fine to miss it. Just think backside in your head. Okay, you're in your little 1 minute fair value gap. Wait for internal now, right? Market structure shift, displacement down, look for an entry model, then get short. In this case, you missed it. But trust me, it's better missing it than getting in front of these things and getting run over.
Absolutely. I agree. In this sense as well, there's two ways that you could have looked at this. Exactly what Dave said as well is I don't want this to be one of those things where you're ending up building false conviction from a trade like this, right? Especially when, let's say you would enter this short and it comes back down to these imbalances and then we end up holding this, right? And we end up bouncing right back to the upside, right? In that case, you're going to be like, oh, why did I even take this trade to begin with, right? Because you're going to automatically realize that was probably a trade you shouldn't have taken. But I don't want you going into this, sniping the top here thinking that you can do this a lot, right? Now, you can end up building conviction if you have a model for this, but the best way that you're going to end up getting a high-quality trade from this and you don't need to catch the top here, right? You do not need to catch this as an entry. Wait for this move to come back down for you to understand, hey, bigger time frame, we're respecting whatever sort of imbalances here, right? Now, if you're trading like these small imbalances here, again, I would zoom out. You don't focus on these small little 1 minute fair value gaps here. Now, you can, but zoom out, create the overall range that's here, because I guarantee you bigger time frame, there's probably a 5 minute fair value gap here, or maybe even a 15 minute. Wait for that rejection, right? Wait for that candle to close. Show that it wants to then go back lower, and then look to take some sort of entry back inside of this range with a stop at that high. That's when you're going to get higher quality, and you're going to get better win rate just waiting for that actual rejection. Because if you enter short anticipating a rejection without actually waiting for that rejection first, a lot of the times you're just going to get, you're going to get ran through, right? So, did I enter too early on this? Took longs on inverse fair value gap. Okay, sell side SMT. This got ran through market structure shift. Yes, I would wait. I would be waiting for this, right? The reason is because wait for the displacement through some sort of stop rate, right? Wait for a stop rate and then wait for displacement. Meaning, hey, this is the first thing you need, right? You have sell side swept and you have an SMT, that's great. But wait for structure. When we get this initial move up, now, sure, this imbalance gets ran through, but I would not look to immediately long this. If you're looking to immediately long this, that means you have to put a stop at this low, right? You have to protect yourself and put a stop at this low. Now, if you were to wait for a stop rate and then displacement, you have structure. Now you have a low that's put in here initially in this imbalance. You then come back down, sweep this internal stop rate, and then this now becomes a balanced price range, right? Right? You have this imbalance now getting ran through to the upside, another imbalance. This is where you should be looking to take your trade, right? In this balanced price range right here. You can see we now come back into the inverse as well after the stop rate, after a balanced price range has now been met. And then this is where you would really get, the best entry possible targeting that. Now, this entry isn't bad, but I would say wait for a little bit more structure or put your stop at the low if you're going to take that inverse. How do you know when to delete a limit? Because sometimes when price takes out a higher low, I've noticed that you'll delete it. Yes, because the objective's already met. Absolutely. So whenever I don't get an entry, whenever I take off my limit, it's because my objective for whatever trade that I was going to take has already been met. So, for example, if I think the draw on liquidity is sell side, right? Like, for example, if I'm like looking to short this, right? If I'm looking to short up here, let's say, buy side was swept right here, we get big displacement down, and I'm looking to enter in this imbalance here, but we never end up coming back to this, but sell side is then taken. This trade idea is no longer a thing, right? Because the objective has already been met. The model that I was looking to trade has been completed. So there's no reason for me to come back up here and look to still sell, right? Because that model, that specific trade is already gone, right? There's no reason for me to take that, right? If we were to come up, we would have just gotten absolutely ran through, right? Because it's a completely different model. Because we've now swept sell side, so now what do you think the draw on liquidity becomes? That previous high. So you can see we got displacement back up, came back down, and then ran right back to that previous high, right? Because this objective has already been met. So yeah, when you see me take off limits, that means I didn't get an entry for my trade, and whatever the objective that I was targeting has already been met. This looks good. Nice little internal trade. Beautiful. Again, you're trading. What was this today? Yeah, exactly. This is why we don't trade these days, guys. You don't want to deal with this. You do not want to deal with this. And again, if you're trading this kind of setup, your stop is way too tight here because you're trading that bigger time frame 5-minute imbalance, right? If you're trading a 5-minute time frame and you're trying to get this move to the upside, you're going to get stopped out. This is why we don't trade those days. Very, very choppy here. Again, nothing is being respected here. I got you, Justin. I got you. Again, didn't wait for internal here. No displacement here. When we get this move back up here, right, notice what's being respected, what's being disrespected. This imbalance is being respected, but this is a new model now already existing, right? If for me to get validation that we then get bought back up here, I need to see either break a structure, internal swept, or trade some sort of internal model. There's no trade for me to target back here. The only trade that I can take is the internal model, which is here, targeting internal buy side after this initial stop rate. Because here, sell side swept here, but when we come down and we come up, there's no initial high that's being broken here. The only thing that's happening is we're rejecting this bearish fair value gap. So when we come up and we don't get displacement, we continue to reject this. I then expect us to come back and stop raid this initial low before having that move up. So the only trade here that would be high probability is this initial stop raid and then entering on like a 15-second to target this initial high, right? You're not going to get a move back to buy side. What ICT videos do you recommend every ICT trader watch? I recommend every ICT trader watches the 2022 mentorship, all of it. I know it's slow. I know it's hard to understand, but I still recommend that you get through it, because it's gonna change the way that you think, and that's the main goal. Is I want you guys to think in the sense of what we're actually trading. I want you guys to understand it, right? Why do we trade the concepts we do? What's the logical reason behind it, right? And in the 2020 mentorship, you will learn that. Is in NQ, isn't the draw on liquidity the 9 a.m. low in the afternoon? Would you be looking for longs before sweeping that? An NQ, isn't the draw on liquidity the 9 a.m. low? No, it's not. It's not. Again, what I said, anything in this range before this high or this low is taken, you will not have confidence on whatever the draw is. It'll be lower probability because we're just chopping in this range here. Notice all this action here, there's no reasoning for it. We're just chopping here. There's no reason to predict or have any sort of understanding of what price wants to do here before any of these levels are met, right? Because right now we need, for us to get a high quality setup, we have to have some sort of bigger time frame draw on liquidity. Right now there's no bigger time frame draw on liquidity because buy side and sell side hasn't been swept. Right now we're accumulating, right? What are we waiting for? We're waiting for that manipulation move, right? This is setting up for a power of 3 move, right? That's what I want you guys to start thinking of. What has to happen first for me to get a high quality setup? Right now, we're just accumulating, right? What comes after this? Some sort of manipulation move. So right now, we're setting up for power of 3. Accumulation. I'm waiting to see either manipulation at the high or manipulation at the low to then have some sort of an expansion move, right? And then once that happens, that is when we get better action, when we can actually have that bigger time frame draw on liquidity to look for some sort of internal trade, right? Does that make sense? I like Cameron's model. I don't like Silver Bullet, though. I think power of 3 is in the 2022 mentorship. I think it is. SMT is a divergence between ES and NQ. I have a whole video on it on my YouTube. Here, I'll give you guys my chart settings if you want to. I can just copy my chart and you can, if you want to. Yeah, basically just briefly on power of 3. I might make a video on power of 3. But power of 3 is basically accumulation, manipulation, distribution. You will see this in every market. Every market you will see this pattern, which is an accumulation phase, a manipulation phase, and a distribution phase. This is basically what the market is. Right? Accumulation, manipulation, distribution. You can see this on anything. If I was just to look at this chart, right, and just go in, you can see this in so many different areas. Right? Right here. Accumulation, manipulation at the lows, distribution to the upside, accumulation, manipulation, distribution to the downside. Say that this becomes accumulation, manipulation, distribution, right? Anywhere you look in the market, you'll see this pattern. Accumulation, manipulation, distribution. Accumulation, manipulation, sell side swept, distribution, right? Anywhere you look, you'll start to see this. So it's recognizing what phase we're in, right? Because we want to catch the distribution moves, right? Or bigger time distribution moves is when we're going to get higher quality intraday setups. Cameron's model is like a 15-minute sweep of liquidity and a break of structure and like a 30-second fair value gap entry. And like a 12-point stop loss and a 10-point PT. That's his model. Can you check out long on ES, sell side swept, SMT at the lows, 5-minute fair value gap ran, 1-minute break, fair value gap entry, 929. I would not be looking to take anything right at the open, so no. I would not be looking to take this setup. Now, I would be looking to take this, though. This would not be that bad. Once we get open, come down, sweep internal, big displacement back up, take this balanced price range entry targeting the high. That wouldn't have been bad. But again, today, I still think today any setup is lower probability. Very, very, very choppy today. Yeah, these are better. I like these better. Yeah. Looser stops. Like this trade, wait for internal. Not bad. But if honestly, again, I still think it's better for just to not trade today. All right. Anybody have any last questions before we call it a night here? What's some rules you recommend everyone follows that aren't talked about most of the time? Good question. Let me think about that for a second. Some rules I would recommend. Number one would be your focus should be, I mean, this isn't really a rule, but it is. I want you guys to focus on understanding the way that you behave when you trade. And I don't think a lot of people put in the time to adjust their trading to how they think and how they feel. Because everybody's different. For example, a lot of the times when I trade, I would trade in the mornings, make profit, and then I wouldn't have really anything else to do the rest of the day. So I would sit on the screens the whole day, and I would always get back profits, right? Always, I would journal, and almost 80-90% of the time, if I traded past a certain time or if I made money in the morning, my second trade or most trades after that would end up giving back profits instead of making more money. So I decided to, after the first 2 hours of the market, I don't trade. Even if I take a loss in the morning, if I win in the morning, I will not trade. I will get off my computer and I will not look at the market until the PM session, or if not, the entire rest of the day. So it's recognizing what is going to help you, because everybody's going to be different. So that's number one. Number two, some of the rules I would say is discipline yourself when you break a rule. A lot of the reasons why you guys continually fail over and over again for the exact same reason is because you don't discipline yourself when you make a mistake. You don't punish yourself. If you break your rules, if you over leverage, if you do something you're not supposed to do, don't trade the next day. Don't do it. I guarantee you guys don't have the discipline to do that though. A lot of you don't. If I go into a day and I take a loss and I have like 3 stupid trades, I over leverage and I take a fat loss and I just broke all of my rules, discipline yourself and don't trade the next day. Because a lot of the times you'll go right into the next day and do the exact same thing because you didn't punish yourself. Again, guys, why does this trade fail? Why does this trade fail? A lot of you guys took the same setup or had the exact same bias from this. Why? Look at this bigger time frame. What's the draw on this 15-minute time frame? What's the draw? There is no draw. There is no draw here. Why? Because sell side and buy side has not been taken. So there's no draw on liquidity on a 15-minute time frame. So when you zoom into this, is there really a reason for this to hold? No, there's not. There's really not a reason for this to hold. Now, it looks like it should hold, right? And we end up holding this. But blindly longing here when we don't have any sort of external drawn liquidity is why we're getting choppy action and why you're just going to get stopped out over and over again. Again, make sure you have a clear understanding of what the external drawn liquidity is and where we are in a bigger time frame. Unless you're trading internal, right? Unless you're trading internal models like here's buy side, here's sell side, and trading intraday, you're not going to catch these moves to take sell side or buy side or here or here. You're going to get chopped up, right? You're not going to catch that kind of move, right? Wait for it to be taken first. Is trading retracement on a bigger time frame too risky or okay with little size, or would you rather wait for confirmed? You can trade retracements if you have a model on a bigger time frame. You can trade that. That's fine. Yeah. But again, you have to have a bias for it. And you have to have some sort of external draw and conviction for it. All right, guys, that is all I have for you guys tonight. Markets are looking good. Let's see what happens in the overnight session. If anybody has, of course, any future questions, always feel free to just at me in the trading chat or the general chat, and I will help you guys out. So enjoy the rest of your night. Get some rest. I will see you all tomorrow morning. Let's have a good Tuesday. Let's get the week off started, and I will see you all then.